You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. So the one thing that has really been troubling me is I get patients. I work for a telemedicine company, and I get patients who call up that don't have a doctor, but they were able to find a way where they could order a test or get some sort of care done online, and they have something seriously wrong with them. So they call the telemedicine company going, I need a surgeon fast, or I need somebody to, address this because it's possibly cancer. And I'm like, okay, did you talk to the doctor that ordered the test? Whoever ordered the test is going to be on top of that. Did you contact them? They go, no, I was able to go and buy this test on my own online. And now I have this result. It says I have a mass. What do I do? And I'm not designed for that, because I trained where you saw a medical provider, that medical provider evaluated you, that medical provider ordered the test. Whoever is ordering the test takes point. That person needs to follow your care. I'm family medicine. That's what we used to do. And then we would make sure that you got the care you needed. We would surround ourselves with specialists that would get you in same day, next day. If these specialists wanted my referrals, they better make sure that when I call, they get my patients in. And I had the most amazing network of doctors. It was fantastic. We didn't lose a patient because of any loss of time. It was such a well-run system. And I'm not saying well-run with me. It's because it was the nurses, it was the specialists, it was the staff, it was the radiology company, it was the labs. We had it down to a science. That's all gone. Once everybody lost their doctor and now people are just kind of, well, I'll go to the urgent care, or I'll use online medicine or whatever. Nobody has a regular doctor. And while you keep hearing this threat from DSA, and it is a threat, that they're going to have Medicare for all or healthcare for all, if you don't have a doctor now, you're really going to be in trouble. And so the problem is, though, is the system currently sucks. And the system we have right now is people don't have a medical provider, some of it by choice. So I had a patient who was in her third trimester pregnancy, having severe nosebleeds. So she went to the ER, and the ER said, you need to see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. Now, I was an ER doc. I used to do the referral myself, right? Because in that town, I knew all the, ENTs. So if somebody was having severe nosebleeds, or, and I had to control somebody's nosebleed with actual cocaine. We had medicinal cocaine because the person was going to bleed out. And I'm sitting there watching the ear and seeing the blood level rise and then finally stop. And we're pushing fluids and pushing blood, and we saved him. But that person needed to see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I got on the phone with the ear, nose, and throat doctor and said, you're going to need to see this patient. Done. Medicine's different now. So this woman in her third trimester, having heavy nosebleeds, ER doc says, so far you're good. We checked the baby. Baby's good. Go to your regular doctor and get a referral to an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat. I go, they didn't do it? She said, no. I go, okay, did you talk to your doctor? She goes, I don't have one. I go, do you have an OB? You're in your third trimester pregnancy. She goes, I do have an OB, but I won't see them for a while. I go, well, maybe they could do the referral. They won't. They said, I got to go find a primary care. Okay, now, the OBs I used to work with, if you needed a referral, they would refer you because they understood that you're so busy seeing the OB, you're probably not seeing your primary care. So a lot of times the OBs would take that on. But it's different now. Why is it different? Well, one, it's probably liability. If a doctor is not in charge of you like a family medicine doctor, why would they take on the liability that a family medicine doctor would? We family medicine doctors, a lot of people think, are idiots. Because, we will take on the whole body. Family medicine, we are responsible from your eyelash to your tippy toes. From the scalp to your retroperitoneum. We are responsible for all of that. And so you have your ER doc going, I'm not touching that. Your OB is probably like, no, I'm not going there. So I have this woman in her third month of pregnancy having frequent nosebleeds. No doctor. And I'm like, well, can you call your insurance? Because I can't refer her. I'm out of state. It's a telemedicine company I go, can you call the insurance company and see if you even need a referral? Can you just call an ENT? And this is scary. This woman needs care. And so all we could do is go back to the ER if you bleed again. But, nobody has these days a primary care provider. Also, what's changed is doctors like me, who had my own little neighborhood clinic. I'd open on Sundays, I'd open on Saturdays, I'd stay late for you guys, whatever. Now the average doctor, after Obamacare, closed their office and works as an employee. Well, if you're an employee and it's a Friday and everybody's leaving early on Friday, are you going to be incentivized to, you know what, I'll stay open until 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'll do what needs to be done. No, you're not seeing those doctors saying, don't worry, come on in, I'll fit you in. Now, maybe in some of the small towns or the rural towns where those doctors that own their own practice are, but you're not seeing that with corporate medicine. So I keep hearing from patients, there's no doctor, there's no visit. My primary care doctor won't see me for months. You need to start planning ahead for this. Now, I keep talking in the summer about what to prepare for during the cough, cold winter season. A lot of you guys have deductibles, so you're like, oh, I'll just see my doctor in December. Have you tried calling your doctor to see if you can make an appointment in December? Chances are there's no appointments in December as of now. If that doctor has been promised that they only have to see 15 to 20 patients a day, I was seeing 30, 40 a day, and when I worked ER, I was seeing 60, easily a shift. Well, if somebody works for a corporation and they go, no, you only have to see 15, 20, they're maxed. So I keep hearing the DSA say, oh, yeah, we're going to do Medicare for all, so everybody will have insurance and everybody will get to see doctors. Right now, we have a severe doctor shortage. There's a lot of doctors, but their time slots and their access is far and few between. And if you're thinking, well, an ER or urgent care is going to handle it, it's not sounding like it is. And there's these companies that are now going to advertise to you saying, look, you feel like you want an ultrasound or a CAT scan, we'll order it for you. But what do you do if they said there's a mass on your liver? You need a doctor who's going to take that on. And the average doctor is going to be like, I don't want the liability. This is frightening. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
The Dr. Dali Show, 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, our X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show. No, I'm not on Space. Was it Space Act? No, it was Space. Oh, there was another one. I forgot what the first one was. And then, of course, YouTube, click like and subscribe. It wasn't SpaceX. What was it? MySpace. It was MySpace. I think I logged on once. I never really did the MySpace. Interesting how MySpace was one of the first, but it didn't take off like the others. Just like, how the iPhone took off after the BlackBerry. But I want to talk about this helicopter parenting because we keep hearing these cases where mommy and daddy are going to their child's job interview. Okay, see, I grew up in a time where parents were the kryptonite of whatever you did. So you need to look like you are as far away from your parents as much as possible. You need to move out of your parents' house as quickly as possible. You need to look like you are so detached from your parents that they cannot have any of that kryptonite rub off on you and then you lose the job, etc. And that's because I'm Gen X. Things are different now. And you are seeing a lot of parents be more hands-on. And I got to admit, I even as a parent, look, I'm honest. I'm a lot more hands-on with my kids than I expected to be. And I think part of the reason why is I was not hands-on for years. I was always working. And I'm like, they're going to be fine. And I feel so guilty. Like for example, I don't know if I told you guys this. I think I might have told you this. I really feel guilty about this. The very first time my older boy got sick, he was a baby, and he had a horrible sore throat. And I said, I'm not going to be one of these doctor moms that's going to jump and throw them on antibiotics and run and take them to the doctor. No. Okay? I'm not going to be I'm not going to take advantage of the system because I'm a doctor. And, he's got a sore throat. It's probably viral. Well, 2 or 3 days in, he's not eating. So I examine him in between working back and forth. So I would only see my child for a couple hours a day because I was working at Nellis Quick Air, which was the shifts were 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., but you really wouldn't get home till about 1, 2 a.m., and it would take me about 45 minutes to get there. So I basically only saw my child maybe from 8 a.m. to 10, right? So I finally have a small window of opportunity to look at my kid, and he's got exudates and white stuff all over his throat. He has strep. And I'm like, whoa. I'm taking the kid into the doctor, or I'm going to have Corey do it, get him treated, get him antibiotics, get him treated. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't do this, just because I don't want to be one of those helicopter parents. I could be putting my kid at risk. Then that same child we take to a friend of ours for his routine well check. And the wife is an RN, lovely lady, but she brings out the shots, the vaccines. And my child's about, 4 months old. And one is really pretty. It's a rose color. And I go, that's a pretty one. Which one is that one? And she goes, well, it's the MMR. I go, whoa. You don't give the MMR to a 4-month-old. You do that when they're 1. And so I learned early on with my child that nobody could be the best advocate and to ensure that mistakes don't happen except me. And I swear to God, I started out with the kids as I'm going to be hands off. And time again, and I mean, don't get me started on the birth. Dr. Wax, you don't need to be watching the monitor. We got this. You're the patient. Meanwhile, I have to scream at the staff to look at the monitor because I am hearing the sounds where my son's heart rate was in the 40s. And apparently I was in a 13-minute contraction and nobody noticed. Now, I love staff. I love nurses. The nurses are the backbone of our medical system. I've worked with some amazing people. But somehow, with this one child, right, we have had mistake after mistake after mistake being made. And I said, you know what, I'm going to be more involved. So then when the second one comes, I'm like, I'm not taking any chances. Okay, this child relies on me. I'm going to be there. Now, have I gone to a job interview for them? No. have no, let them do their thing. They need to fall, they need to get back up, they need to brush the dust off, they need to do their thing. And they will do fine. But I think what's happening, why some of these let me just read this really quickly here. This comes from News Nation. They say HR professionals say a growing number of parents are getting involved in their adult children's job searches, even applying for jobs on their behalf in some cases. And some parents are even coming in to the interview. Most are Gen Xers who search for work using the .com boom, and hiring was plentiful. Now young professionals are dealing with widespread job loss on top of new pressures like AI and social media. One thing that I've talked to parents about is they feel their child has autism or Asperger's or is on the spectrum. So whereas with our generation, okay, you need a job, go and pavement pound. Put on a suit and tie, get your ass out there, brush your teeth, shave, put some deodorant on, and go door to door, have a nice resume and go. Okay, it's not like that now. They got to go on, they have to, interview online. And a lot of the kids that, many people now are a little bit more socially anemic, whether they're on the autism spectrum or whether it's because of COVID or them just not knowing how to deal with people or how to answer people or how to, deal with the nuances. So people are not very socially savvy. So I think a lot of parents are looking at their kid going, oh God, he's gonna totally choke, during the interview. And so I think parents feel they have a responsibility to ensure success. Now, don't sit here and blame these parents that want their kids to succeed when you have Clint Eastwood's son, who's doing really, really well. I don't know about Clint Eastwood's son. I forget his name. Is it David Eastwood? Anyway, he's an actor and he's doing well. And you have the Francis Ford Coppola family, and you have the, Surrey Cruises and trust me, Hollywood is all about nepotism. There's nepotism everywhere. All right. And a good parent is going to want to ensure that their child has success. A better parent ensures that their child also learns how to fail. If you don't know how to fail, you're not going to know how to succeed. So, but these kids don't have those opportunities. When I grew up, it was go to Jack in the Box, go to McDonald's, get your first job, learn and learn the ropes. These kids aren't getting hired at these jobs. They're not working. They're not. Yeah, they're home playing video games, and their parents. They're not getting these on the job experiences. So we're having these kids and these adults that really don't know how to do too much. I'm very grateful for my husband. He's actually done really good because he made my kids learn how to do mechanics, how to learn electricity, plumbing. He gets the boys involved. One is more interested than the other, but they want to learn. And they're like, look, I could do this. I was talking to my son's fiance. She's like, I love that he knows how to do things. And I'm like, exactly. I know that's Corey made sure they learn that. I taught them a lot, but I didn't know how to, I can't even kill a spider. It's, by the way, I wasn't like that. I've changed my own oil. I've done spark plugs. I've put in new car radios. I know how to work on stuff. When I lived alone, I did a lot of that myself. Fix toilets. I know how to do stuff. But once I got married and busy with the office and busy with the kids, I was like, let my husband do it. And I got lazy. So, hubby does all that for me. But I got two boys that need to be able to, navigate just like two women need to. And, they need to learn how to do stuff. But, these parents are like, look, Dahlia, it's a different time. They can't get a job easily. How do I make them, hired by an AI bot? How do these guys know about AI? Well, by the way, your younger child knows more about AI than you do. So, sometimes let the child kind of navigate and they might be able to know how to, get their application pinged better than you can. But if your child isn't working and your child needs to feed themselves and you need to make sure that that child can take care of themselves and later you're going to want to help them. Just don't go to the interview. Don't accentuate the fact that they aren't able to stand on their own yet. But it is a different time now. And it's very frustrating. I think parents are very nervous. I know I'm nervous. All I had to do was get through school, get a job. This was way before Obamacare, so I thought no matter what, doctors will always have a place to practice. Things are different. Things are different for all of us now. So you got to make sure your kid knows how to fail. But even if it's get a temporary job, but let them learn how to stand on their own feet. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So a few days back, one of my listeners wanted to comment on this Muslim Brotherhood. And I believe Hassan Piker saying that people not voting for El Sayed, that we have a lot of Islamophobes in the Democratic Party. And I'm seeing these memes of some, American versus some sentiment kind of concerned about terrorism, and I'll say a few things on the subject. There's a lot of different points of view of what's going on. Having been to Israel multiple times and seen family and friends who live with Muslims and Israelis in peace. The media wants to make it look like in Israel that the Muslims and the Jews, are at each other's throat. The Muslims, the Christians, the Jews in Israel live in peace. Using the hospitals, the schools, they're Gaza and Hamas, what's going on with Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran, whole different thing. But Muslims and Jews and Christians can live in peace. However, there are factions that are associating with terrorist groups. And we need to be very mindful of that. And Senator Ted Cruz has been very open and advocating for us to look deeper as it pertains to the Muslim Brotherhood, which we believe is supporting a lot of the Democratic Socialist candidates. Now, Abdul El Sayed has gotten criticism for his support of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. There's an ad saying that he pledges support for the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, a designated terrorist organization, the most radical Senate candidate in America. And the NRSC's claim comes after an op-ed El Sayed wrote back in 2011. He was an associate professor at Columbia University, and he urged the United States to back the Muslim Brotherhood protesters in Egypt at the time. He said they were revolutionary counterparts of the Iranian regime. In 2012, the group, designated as a terrorist organization now by Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, successfully overthrew the Islamist regime of Hosni Mubarak and installed Mohamed Morsi to serve as the country's president. At his first reason for urging the U.S. to support the Muslim Brotherhood, according to the Daily Signal, El-Sayed wrote in his op-ed that the Mubarak regime has maintained peace with Israel. He countered any U.S. concerns that if they were to support the Muslim Brotherhood, protesters in Egypt could empower Hamas to take stronger control of Gaza, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and further instability in the region. El-Sayed said all those were unsubstantiating claims. Well, the Muslim Brotherhood ruled over Egypt from 2012 to 2013. The Islamic Republic is still in power in Iran, still threatening America, threatening their own constituents. Hamas gained huge power, attacked Israel. Numerous genocidal attacks against Israeli civilians, the October 7th massacre. Hamas political wings still in control of the Gaza Strip. And El-Sayed had written that even if the Muslim Brotherhood were to take power, there are several reasons why the ensuing state would look nothing like Iran. Because the Muslim Brotherhood is a Sunni organization, which by nature is less hierarchical than the Shiite brand of the region. So I'm not here to go back and forth between the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Muslim Brotherhood, but what is concerning people is that, you know, America has certain landmark and foundation credences and values. Okay, and you know, one is election integrity, which we're not really seeing all Americans kind of get behind to support. Democracy, freedom, being able to have freedom of speech. Nobody should feel sidelined as a result of their religion or their support, for Israel. I mean, these are things that need to be preserved and that are just kind of a part of our everyday fabric. You should be able to be Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, not fear Hindu, Buddha, and not fear any repercussion. Not fear that there won't be protection, that you can't go to a college class because there's going to be unchecked agitators and protesters stopping you and attacking you. I mean, this is America. But also that we are anti-terrorism. We don't support anybody that we're not on the side of terrorism at all. Now, I understand the media is like, oh, well, this country's doing terrorism. This is, but you know, so there's objective proof of who, right? Iran, terroristic regime. The citizens are saying, help us, for the love of God. And so one concern that people have, and I'm not saying this would be what El-Sayed would do, but a concern people have is if there's this, oh, you know what, they're good. I understand we have a different hierarchy. We got Sunni versus Shiite versus, what's confusing the American people is, America's focus is safety, 9/11 not happening again. And I'm not saying the Muslim Brotherhood would take part of that. But people are concerned, is there going to be the same sort of scrutiny? Is there going to be the same sort of focus on ensuring that Hamas or Hezbollah doesn't get to sink in and take advantage of some of our candidates' lackadaisical attitudes? If El-Sayed's attitude, is mirrored by a same movement that allowed Hamas to gain such control over Gaza, who's watching the cells in America? If Sayed is in power or any of these individuals are in power and they say, look, we gotta, we think, with the open borders, we got a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. We think we got some cells and people infiltrating, wanting to take advantage. Are they going to take the stand going, oh, no, we're going to squash any of them. No, Hamas does not come into America. Hezbollah doesn't come into America. We're not going to let Iran take advantage of the border. Are they going to have that same attitude? And people are concerned. 9/11 should have never happened. But what is so frightening is El-Sayed has been seen on stage with Hassan Parker multiple times, who said we deserved 9/11. Yeah, people are nervous. I don't know much about El Sayed. He could be the coolest dude. I don't know. But these actions do start to make people go, are you going to be, on guard? Are you going to be ensuring that Americans don't get attacked? Or are you going to be siding with somebody who's supporting you and saying, yeah, that's on us. We deserved it. Look at what happened after October 7th. People said Israel deserved it. A child being beheaded and thrown in an oven. Kids being raped until their pelvises were fractured. People being abducted and raped and abused at a peace concert. Who deserved what? And so, and even Hassan Piker even said, it was justified what Hamas did. Okay, that is flippin' frightening. And if we have candidates that are actually not even shy about sharing stages and platforms with these individuals, who's going to protect America? So yeah, I am concerned. 1-877 Dr. Dolly.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did, and just maybe someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, interestingly, I have been the one in the family that always tried to bring people together. In my family, I had thought it was ridiculous that family members wouldn't talk to each other. They would fight over the stupidest things. And I just felt with my moral compass that no matter what, I would always bring everybody together. And it wasn't until last year, when I was tired of all the threats and attacks and damage that a couple family members were doing, that I decided to estrange from my family. Not my son and husband and others, just extended family. And I'm still close to my nephews and things like that. But the two toxic people, I'm like, no more. Because it wasn't so much affecting me, but now it was going to affect other family members. And it's my duty to protect my family. And I had to make that decision, which was a very difficult decision. We're talking multiple decades of me always being the opposite. And it's never something that I ever advocated for on the show. I was like, look, you guys can make it work. Blood is thicker than water. Don't let stupid things break you up. But when you have somebody that's continuing attacking you and trying to hurt you and now trying to go after your kids and other things because they're psychotic, you have a duty to protect people. And the hardest decision you have to make is telling a family member no. Funny thing is before I even did that, the family member cut me off. So I still feel like, look, I know how to make things up. I know how to forgive and forget. But something is telling me, don't let this person cut me off because they keep causing damage. Well, this article caught my eye in Fox News, 5 reasons more Americans are cutting off their own parents. This is according to a psychologist. And Aaron Rodgers, I believe, had years-long estrangement from members of his family, which I believe he just reconciled with his parents. But a 2025 YouGov survey found that 38% of U.S. adults are estranged from at least one family member, whether it's siblings, parents, children, or grandparents. I'm surprised it's only that. I think there's a lot more. And so there's a lot of different reasons why people are doing this. I think the stupidest reason is political values. Okay, do not let Biden or Trump or Obama or whatever's going on in the media get between you and the family. I think it's ridiculous for people to dislike somebody just because of politics, right? Blood is thicker than a mail-in ballot. But there was a study looking at 2,000 mother-adult-child relationships that found that value dissimilarity was a strong predictor of estrangement, suggesting that differing beliefs may play a large role in family rifts. And I have friends who say, at dinner time, their discussions limit really quickly because they feel they wouldn't be able to talk to their kids because their kids take politics so seriously that they just have to bite their tongue. And it's like, why did we let politics get like this? Social media influence. They say social media influence has affected people's relationships. A study of nearly 9,800 teens found that spending more than 2 hours a day on social media was linked to significantly greater odds of negative relationships with one or both parents. Well, if your parent says, this is how I'm punishing you, parents hopefully aren't beating their children anymore with belts and things like that like we were grown up with. But what parents are doing is, okay, well, how we're going to punish you is you won't have access to your phone. Well, then these kids are like, well, then I hate you. So I believe that's what's going on there. And then the therapy culture. The psychologist who was interviewed, let me see if I could give credit where credit is due, Dr. Richard Blake, a British psychologist and author based in Austin, Texas. He says that changing attitudes towards trauma and abuse have influenced how some people view relationships with their parents. They say another justification is I cut off my parents to protect my mental health. And this is sort of a false belief. They say there is this huge bias that if you're struggling in your adult life, it must be because your parents did something they shouldn't or didn't do something. So even though for me it was a toxicity and them affecting my kids, you do have this argument where if people do not get along with their parents and they feel that their mental health is better away from them, they have been encouraged to get away from them. For me, I had to physically move to get away. And I thank God never really had mental health issues. I get some days where I get sad and, days that I'm happy. But the trauma that I feel I went through as a kid, it took me moving away from them. And I do believe with some individuals, you do have to get away. But if somebody says, well, you know what, they took my phone away. And so they're just evil. And you're like, okay, come on, they're your parent. Come on, quit being a weenie. So it is kind of interesting. A lot of people, they feel sorry for themselves. But your parents do need to take care of you, and they do need to instill some rules. Communication breakdowns are huge. People don't know how to talk. People don't know how to fight. people don't know how to have conversations. It took a lot of work with me and my husband because, I learned a lot about how to communicate and de-escalate, and my husband didn't, and so, he would just, throw bombs, right, verbally, and I'm like, okay, are you done? I haven't even gotten to my BBs yet. Okay, when you're done, can we have a conversation about this? And we would wait until I would, and I've been really, really able to make this marriage work, but the communication was a challenge. And even for me, some days I have a bad days. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even want to go and do any of the stuff I trained on. I'm just going to cuss, and I'm just going to, and sometimes you do want to feel like a baby. But if you don't know how to communicate and fight and handle issues correctly, the relationship could fall apart. So a lot of people, they don't know, they'll just go right after the nukes, and they'll just insult and make, and go for the gut. And then, a parent's like, what you said about me, I could never unhear. And then, of course, outside influences. Family used to be the most important thing. Now, people trust non-family members. They trust bots. They trust avatars. They trust these fake profiles and AI over their parents or their family. And so that's a concern. But what I recommend is if you are in this situation where because if the family doesn't take care of the family, who takes care of your family? So we do have to, reintroduce the family unit, and we do need families being responsible for family. But I do understand that there's only so much you could do. For years I said that my family was worse to me than my worst enemies. And people I grew up with, and people I was close to, they go, I remember so-and-so would do that. Do they still do that? And I was like, oh my gosh, you remember that? I other people witnessed it. And I didn't think anything was wrong. I was like, well, I guess that's what parents can do. I guess that's what, and it wasn't until other people were like, no, you got to get away from that. So I would talk to a counselor, get some guidance on what your situation is. Are you being a baby? Are you making mountains out of molehills? Or is this something that is leading to poor mental health, or can lead to your financial ruin, or lead to, there's only so much you could do. And if you feel overwhelmed, and if they're taking you with them, into this abyss, you have every right to survive, and you want to get them help, but you have every right. And a lot of us are taken advantage of. It's interesting because I always thought families were, more Brady Bunch-like and cool. Now that I'm close to so many people, I realize that everybody has their drama, and boy, is the dysfunctionality pandemic. But usually you have a good enough core family to kind of stave off and manage that toxicity. But when you have others where it's just so rampant like a cancer, the families just break apart. And so it's a shame. But don't let stupid reasons break you apart. Don't let politics, don't let AI, don't let a love interest, There should be ways to mend things, especially with your kids. 1-877-DOC-LA.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.